When you look at the words and the way that the Apostle Paul worded things, he said, I live by the faith in the Son of God who loved me and handed himself over for me. And we can really see the very personal nature of the ransom to the Apostle Paul. And it's important for us to do. As our commenters pointed out nicely, it is important for us to personalize the ransom. The Apostle Paul in Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 5 showed the very personal nature. He understood the personal nature of the Bible and the ransom. In Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 5, he uses this expression, and who have tasted the fine word of God and powers of the coming system of things. Well, it's interesting he used the word taste. Taste is something very personal. Somebody can't taste something for you. You have to put it in your mouth in order to really know what it's going to taste like. So too with the ransom. In what practical ways can we taste or personalize the ransom for us? Let's just consider a couple this morning. One is personal fears. Does God really love me? Am I worthy of love? Sometimes the what ifs and their cousins, the could be's, they come to live and never leave. If bad things or trials or difficulties happen to us, we begin to reason, well, Jehovah God maybe doesn't love me. There's a really strong reason for us to somehow believe in cause and effect. We see the cause of things and effect. And so after a while, everything that happens to us, we begin to look at some cause and even begin to think that maybe Jehovah doesn't love us. You can, even if we're a good person and bad things happen to us, we begin to wonder. Others my age are healthy. Some leaving or changing assignments, you hear everything falls into place for them within a few weeks. I'm still looking for a job. I'm still looking for work. In other words, not try to reason that just because things don't work out perfectly that Jehovah doesn't love us. It's not true. We can still be doing very, very good things, and yet some difficulties can face us. For example, you're driving down the road, obeying all the traffic laws. You pull up to a red light, you stop, turns green, you go through it, and you get broadsided by some knucklehead who went through the red light on the other side. Well, that's not your fault. Are you going to say, well, you know what? I'm not going to obey traffic laws anymore. See, it doesn't pay. Well, no, it was his fault for running through the traffic lights. And sometimes bad or difficult things can happen to us. It's not our fault, or it's not any sign that Jehovah doesn't love us. So how can reflecting on the ransom help us when we have these kinds of personal fears? Well, we could start with, why do we have the ransom? Well, because some very bad things were happening to some good people, us, Adam and Eve descendants. I mean, Adam sinned and Eve sinned, yet we suffer. The ransom is Jehovah's solution for those who appreciate it. It's his way of telling us, I know bad things are happening, and I'm working to fix it. Yes, when we reflect on the reason why Jehovah God gave us the ransom, it helps us to know that Jehovah knows we suffer from cancer and old age and the sins and mistakes of others, and even our own imperfections. See, tasting of the ransom in this way means we'll not get the feeling that Jehovah doesn't love us when trials befall us. To the contrary, the ransom is the greatest expression of Jehovah and Jesus' love for us and their desire to fix the current mess we live in now. How about let's consider a second way that we could reflect on the ransom, and that is the death of someone close to us. Anyone who's had someone very close to them die knows the very helpless feeling that you have, knowing that there's really nothing you can do. In that instant, when they die, your hope, your faith in the resurrection, based on the ransom, become more real to you than any time in your entire life. In Acts chapter 17 and verse 31, in a beautiful speech that the Apostle Paul gave, he highlights that Jesus' death and resurrection and the ransom was really a guarantee that we have. Here in Acts chapter 17 and verse 31, he says, because he has set a day on which he purposes to judge the inhabited earth in righteousness by a man whom he has appointed. And he's provided a guarantee to all men by resurrecting him from the dead. So personalizing the ransom and all that it makes possible helps us to know that the resurrection is just not possible, but that Jehovah and Jesus want to resurrect our mother, our father, our beloved husband or a wife. They care about each person that has ever lived or died, know them so intimately and so completely that they can resurrect them completely with all their memories and personality completely as we knew them. I mean, how much more personal could God's love for us become than that? You know, to bring our loved ones back from the dead is the ultimate statement of Jehovah's personal interest in each and every human being. We are not just collateral damage in Satan's war on Jehovah. The ransom is the way that Jehovah plans to undo all the harm that Satan has caused since the death of Adam and Eve. In fact, the resurrection is really Jehovah's way of proving all of Satan's lies completely false. When you think about it today, Satan can portray all kinds of lies about what happens to people after they die. They're going to go here, they're going to go there, they're going to go to some afterlife, they're going to go to some paradise, they're going to come back as some animal. But in the new world, when the vast majority of people being have been resurrected, that lie isn't going to be sold anymore. Each one can tell everyone what happened to them when they died. Nothing. No afterlife. Everyone will know that it's non-existence. That lie won't work. See, Jehovah knew that we would hurt terribly at the death of loved ones. So he gave us the ransom as his way of telling us, I know it hurts, but please know that I have the perfect solution in mind. Now, we've just considered two ways to reflect and meditate on the ransom, like the Apostle Paul did, to really personalize it. We just talked about personal fears and the resurrection, the death of someone close to us. Imagine how many more ways we can benefit today from meditating on the ransom and how it affects us personally.